The Escape of Marcus Stone. The Breaking Point. In a small suburban town in America, there lived a young man named Marcus Stone. Growing up in a seemingly normal family, Marcus's life appeared perfect on the outside. His mother, Linda, and father, John, were hardworking, loving parents. But Marcus felt different. As a child, he struggled to connect with others and harbored a deep sense of isolation. His parents, though well-meaning, never understood the darkness inside their son. Marcus's descent into madness began during his teenage years. The quiet rage he felt inside began to surface, and his resentment toward his parents grew. They were strict, demanding good grades, success in everything, and showing no tolerance for his emotions. The more they pushed, the more he pulled away. Eventually, that deep anger turned into violent thoughts. One fateful evening, when Marcus was 25 years old, everything boiled over. It started with a trivial argument. His father scolded him for not holding down a steady job. His mother, trying to mediate, ended up getting caught in the crossfire. Marcus lost control. In a blind fit of rage, Marcus attacked his parents. His father tried to defend himself, but Marcus was faster, stronger, and fueled by years of unresolved anger. The house fell silent except for the heavy breathing of Marcus as he stood over the lifeless bodies of the two people who had raised him. Part 2. The Aftermath. The next morning, the house was eerily quiet. The neighbors, who'd grown accustomed to the quiet family, grew concerned when they didn't see Marcus or his parents. The police were called, and within hours, they discovered the horrific crime scene. The news spread quickly. Local man kills parents in brutal attack. But there was one key detail missing from the headlines. Marcus was nowhere to be found. Marcus had fled the scene just hours after the murder. He knew he would be the prime suspect, and he couldn't afford to be caught. With no plan in place, he took whatever cash he had on hand, some clothes, and ran part 3. Behind bars. 2 days later, Marcus was caught. Authorities tracked him down to a small town miles away from the crime scene, where he was arrested without resistance. In a brief trial, Marcus was found guilty of double homicide. He was sentenced to life in a maximum security prison, known for housing the most dangerous criminals in America. But the isolation of prison didn't seem to bother Marcus. In fact, it seemed to calm him. The anger, once overwhelming, was replaced by cold indifference. He spent years in the prison, observing the routines, studying the guards, and learning the prison's weak spots. But the darkness within him never truly went away. He wasn't there to serve time. He was there to plan. Part 4. The Prison Escape. 5 years into his sentence, Marcus began his escape plan. The guards had grown complacent, believing that he was just another hardened criminal with no chance of escaping. What they didn't realize was that Marcus had been studying the entire prison system. He began with small acts of defiance, starting fights, causing disruptions, and making himself an unremarkable presence. While the guards focused on punishing him, they never suspected what he was really doing. He made friends with a few inmates, gaining trust and access to the prison's underground tunnels, an old maintenance system long forgotten. Marcus's final escape came on a stormy night. As the rain poured down, he slipped through the tunnels, avoiding cameras and guards. He had studied the patterns of the prison for months, and tonight he would finally escape. With a mix of adrenaline and determination, Marcus crawled through the darkness, eventually emerging outside the prison walls. The guards never saw it coming. Part 5. The Hunt. The next morning, the news spread like wildfire. Murderer escapes maximum security prison. Authorities were immediately put on high alert. The FBI launched a nationwide manhunt, but Marcus had planned for this moment his entire life. He knew that in a world full of technology, he had to disappear without a trace. He changed his appearance, cutting his hair and altering his features. Using fake IDs, he moved from town to town, staying one step ahead of the authorities. Despite his efforts to remain in the shadows, rumors of his escape spread across the country. Some believed he was heading for the border, trying to escape to another country. Others believed he was lying low, blending into a new identity. Part 6. The reckoning months passed, and Marcus's desperation grew. Though he had escaped the walls of the prison, he found himself trapped within the confines of his own mind. The guilt over killing his parents gnawed at him, but it was overshadowed by his overwhelming fear of capture. The walls of society were closing in on him. One day, while in a small town in the middle of nowhere, Marcus ran into a stranger, a young woman named Emily. She didn't recognize Hai,